I've known my next guest for more than 15 years. He's been involved in everything from the private to the public sector over the years I've known him. Half of the time, I don't know what he's up to. The other half, I think he just makes up. Recently, he started One Bright Cloud and has built this consulting company around automated vehicles, AI, and future technology. In his spare time, and we all know that nobody has that these days, he likes to travel around Australia and the world and scuba dive. Please welcome David Camus from One Bright Cloud.
This is the Nerd Out of Water podcast with Michael Lobb.
Hi, David. How are you doing?
I am going really well. How are you going, Michael?
I'm pretty good. It's really hot at the moment, and Australia's heating up for summer.
And we're suffering through some really intense fires, and something that we are helping with AI through.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I did see some posts from you and from someone in your family about helping the fireys out.
Yes, yeah, we've got a number of people both in fireys and in paramedics in the family. So We have frontline exposure to what's going on.
Very nice. Hopefully they get these fires under control and don't burn out in the process, and hopefully they get all the support that they need following this. So let's start from the beginning, because you and I have known each other for a number of years, and over that time, we've both been involved in so many projects and companies and transformations. And how would you sum up your career so far?
Exhausting. I have had a wonderful career. Over the last 20-odd years, I have worked through numerous programs and projects, and most recently I've started up One Bright Cloud, and this is a company based around autonomous vehicles, AI, and public safety.
One Bright Cloud is dealing with, I guess, a lot of things that people may consider science fiction, I guess. How do you think we, as technologists, can go about normalizing this for the general population?
Yeah, well, we've been talking about science fiction things for many, many years. And, you know, whether we're talking about the Jetsons coming on with their little flying cars to robotics making our pancakes in the morning, it's something that we're seeing day by day coming into reality. And that it is coming into reality. And every single day we see something new. The moment I've been watching our firefighters, as I spoke a few minutes ago, who have been using self-flying quadcopters to actually take footage of incredible fires to understand where the heat spots are, so they can drop off the planes with the water carrying and pinpoint them.
Wow.
But we've been having a lot of fun over the years. But the mining industry have been working in this for probably 10 years plus. And they have very, very large trucks, 400-ton trucks that go from the Pilbara to the coast. And this is the sort of thing that happens. Normalising this into the population can be quite scary for some people, but every vehicle that we drive nowadays has got something, whether it's a self-driving capability of parking, whether it's lane assist. These are all simple forms of AI that are coming into our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, and you and I are both from the generation prior to the internet or smartphones, and I guess you've got 7 children. Do you think they have the advantage, or do you wish that they had more of a tech-free childhood?
Oh, that's a scary thought, having 7 children. Yeah, 4 older children and 3 younger children. The older children have grown up with tech to a smaller degree. They're the paramedics and the firefighters who are out on the field at the moment. But the younger children, they're only 9 and 12. They've grown up with so much technology around them. Since they've been at preschool, they've had iPads. I can give them an application on their iPad and they will just run with it. They're really good with this sort of things. That they can call an Uber, they understand what to do. But this technology is what is going to be in everything we do soon. So I'm glad they've got the technology. I try and ground them. I try and ground them by going out and we play soccer, we climb trees. So we have that experience that everybody else has. And that really works well for all of us.
A bit of balance.
Yeah, a lot of balance in our lives, because without the one-on-one or one-to-many relationships, the children nowadays have a possibility of becoming very lonely because all they do is look at screens, and even though they're talking to people through their capabilities, so whether it's iPads or phones, they may be very independent and become very lonely in that independency.
Do you think that there's an ethical question there, especially when it comes to things like AI and automated vehicles? Like, we're talking about children here, but I think there's an ethical question that comes up when we're talking even in the general population.
Yeah, there's always going to be ethical considerations, especially with AI. In its simplest forms, we use AI, as I say, to park cars, and we trust it to miss the car and not to hit the other cars. Initially, when people started playing with self-parking cars, they did hit, and it's just a capability we had to learn. But with AI, understanding the difference between a cat and a dog, it's something that a human trains the AI to do. And even though neural networks then take it on and learn for themselves, the original facts are still human based. My paramedic son, he would use a defibrillator that uses a form of AI to understand when to send a pulse to kick somebody's heart into action. But these ethical situations, whether you want to talk about the trolley situation with whether you take the trolley bus on one path or another. I was recently at the ADVI conference, which is the International Driverless Vehicles Summit down in Sydney, and they are almost completely fed up of this ethical conversation because it is a human that is manufacturing the AI, manufacturing the neural networks, and we need to teach it the right from wrong, as we do every time we go and drive. We make decisions that could affect other people's lives, and it's proven that a human being makes poorer decisions than AI in driving.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a complex conversation. But I think that as we move forward into the next 10, 20 years, those conversations are going to become less and less, and we're going to be talking more about functional use rather than the whether we should use it or not.
Yeah, I agree. And as I said a minute ago, we need to ensure that people who are using this technology don't become removed from society, which is an ethical situation in its own fact.
You've come from a non-tech background. You've worked into a technology role, and now you're into a future tech. But you've always had a real business focus. How do you balance the tech and the business sides of things?
How do I balance the tech? Oh, really? So it's part of our everyday use. So email and text and computers are something that I use every day. Even before this podcast, we text each other to ensure that we were both ready to come on live to be able to talk. It's something that the children do, we do, whether it's Facebook, FaceTime, texting. I grew up, as you say, without tech, without any tech. The hardest tech I had was probably a 3345s or the old 78s of my mum's, or a reel-to-reel tape recorder, and that was fun. But the way I try and balance it is I balance my own life with my children. I'm very much a family man. I'm traveling a lot, which is unfortunate. But when I travel, I might try and use that tech to my own advantage. So there are times that I might be away for a week or so. And when I am, I try and sit down at the table with the children through technology. So I will have Skype running. Yeah. They will have Skype running. We'll all have dinner together but we could be 1,000, 2,000 kilometers apart.
And I know that another thing that you do to balance out the tech and the business side of things is around community. I know that One Bright Cloud actually has a lot of community focus, and you're giving back a lot of what you're putting into technology back to the community.
Yes, well, we really do try. So we have a percentage of all of our profits that go back into the community, because the community that is what provides us, and we want to pay back. So we pay back into drug and alcohol rehabilitation. So that's Retto to Hope. We look after, we put money into Starlight Children's Foundation, because we have had a lot of dealings on both sides of the fence. We've needed them in the past, and now it's time for us to pay back. And we play around a little bit with Queensland Opera. So their rural children's tour is something that we really get on with, and they raise a lot of money for their tour, and they spend that back on the children themselves as they travel around rural communities in central Queensland.
Yeah, nice. One more question. You've transitioned from being a regular salary, from getting a regular salary, to being a contractor, to running a company. One of the reasons I'm doing this podcast, as you know, is because I'm from a tech background and I'm learning as I go in terms of running a company. What are some of the things that you've learned along the way that would make it easier for someone transitioning from, say, a salary, especially in tech, to running a business?
Oh, it's hard. The number one thing is have passion. Without that, if you don't have passion, you won't be able to take whatever you're looking at doing into a small business, into a company. And that passion is something that comes from within. It's great to have ideas and to play around with those ideas, but if you don't have that passion inside, you're not going to transition. And as you say, and I'm fairly sure you'll agree with me, it's very hard going from a standard everyday income to having that business where you're searching around for the money to pay yourself and other people, to owning a larger company with us with 40 on the payroll. It can be very difficult at times, and the cash flow, especially when you're dealing with governments, can be really hard, because governments aren't the best to pay on time, unfortunately. But have passion, do what you love and take that on, and know when to stop as well. So the reason why I say know when to stop is I try and have maybe 4 or 5 ideas on the go at once. Not more, because I can't. If I spread myself too thinly, I don't know where I'm going to end up with each one of them. But if I have 5 ideas on the go and one of them starts failing or one of them isn't succeeding, you need to pull back. You need to know that it's now time to stop that one. It may have been a really good idea. It may be something that's passionate of yours. But if nobody else is going to take it on and look after it, don't keep beating a dead horse, or flogging a dead horse, I think it is, isn't it? It's something that you need to know. So once you've stopped that, concentrate on the others, and then bring people on that journey. And I've partnered with some of the best in the business, and you and I have partnered on many times in the past to make things really successful. And understanding who they are, having them around you to give you advice and guidance, and never be afraid to ask questions of someone who has done it in the past.
Really good advice there, and I totally agree with everything. Passion is really, really high on the list in terms of, if you're doing something that's hard, you go from being a salary person where you're comfortable and stable to not having that regular cash flow. You need to have passion about what you're doing, I think, and otherwise, and bringing people on board who are passionate as well is really important. I've got 3 questions that I am asking everyone that I'm talking to, and I'd like to ask you those same questions. What would you do differently if you had a chance over the course of your career?
Oh my gosh, there's a question. Looking back in retrospect is such a wonderful thing, having that hindsight. There would be many things I think I might have want to change, but I try to believe that everything that I do wrong, I can learn from to do it better the next time. And maybe if there's one thing I could have done that's in the past, would be right at the beginning when I started taking offense when people started saying, you're doing it wrong, actually listening to them.
Do you have any predictions for the future of technology?
In my space at the moment, the predictions are around autonomous vehicles and flying vehicles. You look at what's happening over in Japan with the autonomous buses at the moment, and they've got autonomous. They're now actually in the state of building towns with autonomous pods, picking up people from their homes, taking them to autonomous buses that then take them to main transport hubs, and the autonomous trains taking them into the cities. That's already on the ground. Then you look at the flying capabilities. All of a sudden, I think our rural areas are going to increase in value as flying autonomous vehicles of some kind start coming onto the market. And I reckon they're only 10 years away before coming mainstream. I know they're being trialled in a number of cities around the world.
Wow. Okay. I'm looking forward to my flying car.
Yeah, well, Jetsons, here we come.
If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't doing, I would probably be scuba diving. I am a scuba diving freak, but I love relaxing. I love traveling around the world, and I love being under the water.
Where are you off to next?
I'm scuba diving. Next, I'm scuba diving in ex-HMS Brisbane up at Mooloolaba with my son, which will be an incredible event. We've been there many times before. And after Christmas, we're popping over to Fiji, which will be a nice, relaxing time.
Nice. Well, David, it's been lovely to talk to you, and I'm sure that there's lots and lots of other things that we could continue talking about. But for now, I'd just like to say thanks for coming on the podcast, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Michael, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.